I don't know if you've been noticing how intense things have been, but they are a bit intense. But again, I won't say that they are intense in a bad way. They are simply intense. So, I'm Veronica Lee. This is your weekly transformational forecast, and I'm going to share with you a couple of things I've been witnessing, but also ways that we can sort of move through them and get support for ourselves. What I've been noticing is, again, this is speaking to that intensity, that as we are moving through our awakening, our collective awakening, we are really coming through aspects of ourselves that are not always comfortable, but are so longing to be healed. So through the process, what we might experience are what feel like stumbling blocks or painful moments or kind of the dirt being kicked in our face or anything that feels like it's raw and uncomfortable. But essentially what's happening is that this light is coming in so intensely to illuminate those areas, to heal and transform those areas. This is why I call this a weekly transformational forecast, because every week, every day, every minute, we are being transformed. The question is, are we leaning into it and saying yes and working with whatever, is out there for us, or are we having resistance? When we have that resistance, that's when there is more friction. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy if you go with the flow, because you could go with a flow that's pretty intense and still feel like you're being sucked up into whatever's going on, right? But when you're in that place of resistance, it causes much more friction and discomfort. In terms of how to work with it, some of the best ways that it's a little bit of a conundrum here, but some of the best ways to do so are to sort of unhook and unplug from that which might agitate us. Now, we've been in a long-term pandemic lockdown, not around a lot of people. And so going out again is sort of like this necessity, this desire, this need to connect and to be with people. However, we're not used to it. And it's going to be people that often trigger us. So again, it's not that they're to blame, but they're the perfect beings to kind of trigger us, right? Because who would trigger ourselves? We do it all the time, but we don't want to see that. And of course, our pets aren't going to do it. And of course, we're kind of used to our family doing it. But now that we're emerging and wanting to spend time with actual people, we might notice that it's draining. It's a little bit much. It's a little bit intense. It's a little bit off in some way. So I'm not saying not to go out, but to just really sort of do it in bite-sized pieces to prepare yourself when you're around people, to almost like shield yourself, to say, hey, I'm going to imagine this beautiful light surrounding me and have this filter built in, and any energies that are meant to come through will connect with me, and anything that isn't in alignment or feels like it might be a little bit too frustrating or triggering, I'll go ahead and not engage in that, and I'll let that just hit my filter and stay outside my little bubble. And at the same time, when things do arise, to sort of take an opportunity to go, okay, what is this about? And it's not about self-blame, it's about self-awareness. What is my part? What is it that I need from this? What is triggering me, right? So one of the things I've been working with is really hitting those lower, chakras, that place of like, this is where all the juicy, yucky, sticky stuff is that I don't want to mess with, but it's still coming to the surface. So it's like, okay, what's there? Oh, there's these fears of abandonment, or these, areas of feeling like I'm not appreciated, or being jealous because other people seem to get things so easily and my life has been really hard, wah, 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 right? So really taking a look at that and showing up with that, and the heart that is open to change, right? To say, I don't know what's here, this is uncomfortable, but I'm willing to do some of that work. And in this way, I just want to offer one little piece, which is just inspiring to me. It was Mother's Day yesterday, and I posted on my Facebook about my own mom and how she really changed the trajectory of where my life probably would have ended up based on her patterning, based on her abusive growing up, based on all the damage and trauma she had endured. And yet she did diligent work. She worked so hard to say, no, the buck stops here. I'm not going to repeat this trauma. And not to say that I came in perfect and that I didn't have my own, areas of trauma, or that she didn't make mistakes, but night and day. She really did something that was not just for her own benefit, but for me, for our family members, and I believe for the collective. So with that, have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.